Andrew Berry has been telling you. Now, last week, this is about a 2-week program. And so what we're going to do is we're going to say this. Andrew Berry, we can't play the audio, right? But
Shedeur he's a very impressive young man. He's poised, he's calm, he's smart. You can tell that he's been raised by, really quite honestly, a Hall of Fame dad. It was. Look, we're going to get to know him even more over the course of the spring, but he's really impressive. I don't know where that report came from. That's not a request that we made. That being said, I want to be clear. Like, that would have no bearing in terms, like, whether he participated or not. That has no bearing in terms of like how we think of it. But I don't know where that came from. Did you see our meeting? In the room, so to speak. Look, we have a lot of respect for Deion and Coach Prime. I think the program that he's built at Colorado, hard-nosed, tough, disciplined kids. I have a ton of respect for him and all the kids that really come out of Colorado. So, and that's evident, really, not just even with Shedeur, but all those kids that came into the game from Colorado. You can really see his impact. I don't think that's necessarily true. Obviously, look, it's the most important position, so like you're going to do a whole bunch of work on it, really regardless of where your roster is at that point. But you also don't want to force it if like there's not someone that you're compelled to take at that spot. So I don't think there are any hard truths about like what you have to do at the top of the draft. I think the big thing is you want to do everything in your power to make sure you get the decision right.
We got someone right there in Berea that feels the same way from the tea leaves that I'm reading. This video came out just after the Browns win. It's Andrew Berry, GM of the Cleveland Browns, dapping Shedeur up, giving him some love, being proud of him, which I think most of us were proud of the performance Shedeur put out there in this game in his first NFL start. But I had a theory that it's out there. It's in the internet. You could see it. I've posted it a few times of there being a divide in Berea because Andrew Berry's guy is Shedeur and Kevin Stefanski's guy is, of course, Dylan Gabriel. Is it starting to show even more now with videos like this surfacing? I don't know. I don't know anything. I don't have that type of intel on the Cleveland Browns of what they have going on inside them. I would say 4 walls in Berea, but it's probably multiple walls. Let's be for real here. It's a very bougie industry. But one guy I think is very safe in his job with how his draft has looked at this year, and Andrew Berry. And the other guy I think fans are still very much ready to move on from. I mean, this win feels good. There's many positives, but this team still doesn't look disciplined. We aren't holding players accountable. Jerry Jeudy, I didn't forget about you. His ass should have been benched for at least a series after he fumbled that ball doing whatever he was doing.
All right, there's a lot to digest coming off of Andrew Berry, but one of the things that he talked about there isn't just the coach. It's also what the Browns do at quarterback here. Really important for the offseason. I thought he was complimentary of Shedeur Sanders, but he said definitively that he didn't know whether the Browns' next quarterback is in the building or out of the building. So for anybody who's arguing that Shedeur has already done enough to be the quarterback in September, that is not the case. I think that the Browns are saying that they need to turn over every stone and evaluate every option. And I hate to tell Chops this, who's recording this video right now and is the king of the quarterback tracker, but you're going to be tracking quarterbacks in training camp again.
Let's be clear about something first. This isn't a hot take. This isn't a narrative being pushed. This is what the Cleveland Browns organization itself has been saying out loud, on camera, on record over the past 2 weeks. Now, Andrew Berry sat down with Nathan Zagura for an interview, and here's the key thing people need to understand. The Browns put that video out themselves. The organization chose to release that content. They didn't have to. They could have kept it internal, but they put it out, and everything in it is intentional. In that same video, you can visually see Shedeur Sanders talking with offensive coordinator Todd Monken, not sitting in the background, not in a group huddle, having a direct, focused conversation with the offensive coordinator. That's not nothing. That's a signal. And yet, people want to debate it. People want to say, well, we don't really know. People are out here still floating Marcus Mariota, Mitch Trubisky, Jameis Winston, Malik Willis, Mac Jones, like any of those names make sense in 2025 for a team that's trying to rebuild and turn the page. Let me tell you why that logic doesn't hold up, and why what Andrew Berry said changes everything. Here's the quote that matters most from Berry's interview, and I need you to really sit with this. He goes back to 2020. He talks about Baker Mayfield's rookie season, and he says, "Our entire philosophy in 2020 was to put weapons, infrastructure, and support around our young quarterback to set him up for success. Everything they built that offseason was designed to protect and elevate their new franchise signal caller." Now, here's where it gets real. Berry then says, and I'm paraphrasing, "I would say this year is the exact opposite of that." Meaning, in 2020, they had the quarterback and needed the pieces. In 2025, they have the pieces, a great defense, established weapons, and the priority this offseason is the offensive side of the football. Getting the right quarterback, building around him. He then confirms that every single coaching candidate who came in for an interview already understood this. They didn't need to explain it. The offensive side of the ball, the quarterback position, that was clearly the mission. Now let me ask you something. If Deshaun Watson were truly the guy, the proven, ready-to-go starter, would Berry need to say any of that? Would he be referencing Baker Mayfield's rookie year as the model? Would he be talking about building weapons around a quarterback like he's a first-year player who needs support? No, he wouldn't, because that's not how you talk about a 10-year veteran. You talk about that when you're building around someone new, someone young, someone with upside. You talk about that when you're talking about Shedeur Sanders. And here's what separates this from just one executive talking, because it's not just Andrew Berry. Todd Monken himself, when asked directly, said he doesn't necessarily believe that no team wanted Shedeur Sanders. Think about that. The offensive coordinator is pushing back on the narrative that Sanders was unwanted. He's defending the guy. Why would he do that if Sanders wasn't part of the plan? Shelby Harris came out and called Shedeur Sanders a locker room leader. He said the whole team is behind him. That's a veteran defender going out of his way to publicly endorse a quarterback who hasn't even taken a regular season snap yet. Denzel Ward said, and this is direct, he's got a great opportunity to go out there and get that job if he wants it. That's not a throwaway line. That's a cornerback who's been in Cleveland for years, giving you the real read on the room. And then, Myles Garrett, the best defensive player in football, the face of the Cleveland Browns franchise. When asked about Shedeur Sanders, Myles didn't hesitate. He said, "Is Shedeur the guy? We look at him like that." Stop. Read that again. Myles Garrett, who has earned the right to say whatever he wants in that building, looked at a reporter and said, "We look at Shedeur Sanders like he's the guy." Not "we'll see," not "he'll have a chance to compete," like the guy. When your best player says that, you listen. Here's another piece of the puzzle that gets glossed over in the noise. Andrew Berry explicitly said they brought Todd Monken in because of what he can do with young quarterbacks. Now I'll say what nobody else wants to say out loud. Deshaun Watson is not a young quarterback. He's a 29-year-old with years of NFL experience, a massive injury history, and, let's be honest, a lot of baggage. When you hire an offensive coordinator specifically because he develops young quarterbacks, you are not doing that for Deshaun Watson. You're doing that for Shedeur Sanders. Monken came in, showed a vision, showed an excitement level, showed a specific game plan for the people already in that quarterback room, and he got the job. He got the job because he understood what they had, embraced it, and convinced the front office he could maximize it. That's not a quarterback competition. That's a coronation in progress. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. Why is there so much pushback on Shedeur Sanders when the entire organization is pointing in his direction? Part of it is the college game. People watched Sanders at Colorado and made up their minds. They looked at his interception numbers in a limited sample, 7 games, and decided he can't play. Meanwhile, the same people were hyping Kenny Pickett, Dylan Gabriel, and journeyman quarterbacks with longer track records of being mediocre in the NFL. Think about that for a second. people are choosing players with proven records of losing over a prospect the actual organization believes in. That's not analysis, that's noise. And the flip-flopping is wild. The same voices that were saying Deshaun Watson should be cut, released, and never play another snap in Cleveland, those same voices are now saying Watson is a viable option. The same people who wrote that Dylan Gabriel was ready to start are now saying cut him. Week to week, day to day, the narrative shifts. But here's what hasn't shifted, what the Browns are saying. Since the moment Shedeur Sanders' name entered the conversation, the Cleveland Browns, front office, coaches, veteran players have been consistent. Consistent messaging, consistent support, consistent vision. In sports, when the organization is that aligned on something, it's usually because the decision is already made. Here's where we land. Andrew Berry didn't accidentally reference Baker Mayfield's rookie year. He didn't accidentally say the offensive side of the ball was the clear priority this offseason. He didn't accidentally mention bringing in a coach known for developing young quarterbacks. Myles Garrett didn't accidentally say we look at him like the guy. Denzel Ward didn't accidentally say he has a great opportunity. Shelby Harris didn't accidentally call him a locker room leader. Todd Monken didn't accidentally push back on the narrative that nobody wanted Sanders. None of this is accidental. The Cleveland Browns are telling you exactly what they're thinking. They've been doing it for weeks, and the message is consistent. Shedeur Sanders is the future of this franchise. Now, is there still a competition? On paper, sure, but every piece of evidence coming from inside that building points toward the same answer. The weapons are being assembled, the offensive coordinator is in place, the veterans are bought in, the front office is aligned. The only question left is whether you're willing to listen to what the Browns are actually saying, or whether you'd rather keep spinning the wheel on names that have already proven they can't get it done. Shedeur Sanders, Cleveland Browns, QB1. The Browns already know it. Maybe it's time the rest of us caught up. If you think the Browns made the right call, or if you still think someone else should start, drop it in the comments. Let's talk about it. Like the video if this broke it down the right way, subscribe if you want more Browns coverage that actually follows the evidence, and I'll see you in the next one.